On July 12th, I walked out of my apartment building into the parking garage and saw that someone had hit my 2014 Porsche Boxster S and not left a note. This is Doug Lindsay with AutoFocus Cars and Vids, and today we're going to do a WhoDunnit. So, this is the dent. Not so big. I had to figure out what happened because he didn't leave a note. There was security camera footage, but my car wasn't on it. So what do you do if your car gets hit in a parking lot? Well, now this is, even though it looks like a lovely day, and it is, this is December. My car got hit in July, it's still not fixed. So this has turned into quite a saga. But the saga started with the basic question, what do you do when you get hit? I filed a police report. Turns out you probably shouldn't. And then, what do you do when they didn't leave a note? Can you figure out who did it? Well, if you're me, yes. So that turned out to be a 5-page report that I eventually assembled of circumstantial evidence, brought it to the police, had links to forensic evidence, and then when they confronted the suspect, he confessed. That's what we're going to cover today on this WhoDunnit. A key part of detective shows is walking and talking, so that's what we're going to do here. Once I found the car was hit, I had to figure out what to do. I called a buddy who was an insurance agent, and I called my insurance agent. The consensus seemed to be to file a police report. I went and did that. The police gave me a ride back to the scene, and I waited while they did their investigation. But I also did my own investigation and took my own photos. And I looked at the site. Then I walked around the garage trying to get a feel for maybe what had happened. You never know what you'll find. Well, what I found interesting about the impact is it seemed to be pretty high. And it seemed to have spared much of the car below the impact. So that led me to believe, well, that led me to get a yardstick, which led me to see that the impact was 28 inches and, well, 28 and a half. And so what is that, 55 centimeters, something like that. So that's pretty high. So what was going on? Well, I had to figure it out. It seemed like it was a truck bumper, but there was white paint left on the scene, white paint in the dent, and trucks have chrome bumpers. So how did that happen? Well, we didn't know yet. So I kept investigating. One of the things I did is I kept an eye out for trucks of interest. Once I was pretty clear it was a truck, I went around the parking lot and started measuring bumpers. And even a Chevy Suburban wasn't high enough, except for on the very corner, to have made that dent. Anything lower would have made a different dent and a bigger dent. So I was pretty sure it was a work truck. Well, we have a construction site up the street, so there's a lot of work trucks. And Chevy trucks have a special step bumper where you can put your foot in as you jump up. And the dent had 2 parts to it. So I wondered if it was a Chevy truck work bumper. The height worked out. It could be a Chevy truck work bumper. So from there, I just started looking and thinking. I made a list of trucks of interest, trucks that parked near where I was parked. See, if you look at this spot here, that's kind of where I was parked, but on a different floor. My car was in this spot, but on the floor where I parked, there were parking spots against that wall. And that meant where my car was hit. That meant where my car was hit in that driver's side rear quarter panel meant that somebody had backed out of one of those few spots and into my car. So I kept an eye on those spots as the days went on and saw what trucks parked near it. That's how I developed my trucks of interest list. Then I checked into the security footage. They didn't want to give it to me. They told me it was illegal. They told me it was an invasion of privacy and a crime. And of course they were wrong on all of that. They just didn't want to give it to me. So I had to go to the city and get it from them. They gave it right over. I contacted one of the aldermen and I got it. Then they tried to charge me $250 or so for the video, for the man hours to download the video. So I talked to them, shrunk the request to 11 hours from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m., from 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. On the day it was hit. I discovered it at 4 p.m. The work truck guys start pulling in at 5 a.m. That should be the window. So that's what I did. It took weeks and weeks of finagling to get the video. I get it, and you can't watch it because it's an AVI file, which is a file type that my Mac won't play. Eventually I get a player that will play it, and now I can start watching the 55 hours of footage to try and see what I can piece together. First thing, my car's not on it. Second, it's hard to read the license plates from any of the 5 cameras in the garage. And so, but you can read it sometimes. So I had to track the trucks by when they arrived and when their driver came downstairs. Now, since it was a construction site, a lot of the guys were wearing fluorescent shirts, so that made it easier. So I could track the drivers, and I made my trucks of interest, truck A, truck B, truck C. There was one truck that wasn't from the site, and I made that truck Z. As I kept digging and watching, I was looking for who was on my trucks of interest list that came and left during the window. They had to arrive in the garage, but also leave because they backed into my car. So who came, who left? And it turns out none of the trucks of interest from the construction site came and left. The only truck on my list was truck Z, the one that wasn't from the construction site but was a work truck. When I investigated, it had a quarter-size piece of white paint on its rear bumper at 28.5 inches. So it had a chrome bumper, but with a white paint with scrapes on it. That was our guy. So I tracked the driver's movements by seeing when he pulled in, seeing when he used his card to leave and where he went, what stairwells he took, where he came back after lunch and parked in a different part of the building to hide. I pieced it all together, wrote up the report, took it to the fuzz, gave it to them. They confronted the guy and he confessed. Now I'm facing diminished value because there's a police report and an insurance company involved, and it might show up on the Carfax. So even though it's a tiny dent, it might be a big, big problem. And he's facing leaving the scene of an accident. So what a mess, but what a saga. But I was able to take this, I got microscope slides to pull some of the white paint off so we could figure out whether it was construction site dirt or car paint or house paint, you know, if it came to that. I did all sorts of stuff. I gathered lots of evidence, which you'll see in the video, and, you know, I was able to piece together who did it. From there, I took it to the cops. They had the goods on him, he confessed, and now he's facing leaving the scene of an accident. And the accident was in July, and here I am in December, still trying to get the car fixed, still talking with the insurance company, still worrying about diminished value. What a mess. So what I did is I built a kit for my own car to leave a note in case I ever need to. Because everyone has phones. No one has pads and papers and pens and tape anymore. So I bought Post-its, pencils, pens, put them in a Ziploc, put them in the glove box, and now I'm ready in case I ever need it, because I want to be in a good spot and I want to do better than he did by me, because now he's paying the price. So that's the story. This has been Doug Lindsay from AutoFocus Cars and Vids in a special WhoDunnit episode. Who did it? This frickin' guy.